Next, we're going to talk about cue points. Torq is great because it lets you go through and set up 5 cue points for every song. So, old school style, DJs used to go through and mark their vinyl with little pieces of tape or whatnot. Here, in the digital domain, we can just go through and set up some cue points. So we're going to take a look at that feature, how you can rock that on the fly, and also some of the creative potential with utilizing these cue points to play out beats. So let's say you load up a song into Torq and you want to add some cue points. So I'm going to go through here and grab a track and bring it in here. So if I start playing the song, okay, I can hear this is a track called Slither from my bass science project. It pretty much starts with a sort of a dubby intro, but it really doesn't get to the juice where, to the solid thing till later on. So maybe I want to just go through and skip ahead. And you find this pretty much with all types of music. There's oftentimes some sort of intro, and then you get to like the juicy break part. So here it is. That's where I want to start. So let me go through and stop this and grab it and rewind it a little bit. And let's find that spot. Now I can go through right there. There's the money shot right there. So if I were to go through, and there's 2 ways to do the cue points. You can either click the set button. So let me go through and line this up. So I hit the set button, and then I hit the number 1, and bam, you can see it put the little cue point 1 right there at this spot. So now when I hit the number 1 on my typing keyboard, it goes through and triggers that spot in the song. So you can do this and go through, and maybe over here, right after this ambient breakdown part here is a really good spot. Maybe you want to go and jump ahead there and go through and add another cue point there, because that's probably some really heavy, fresh off of the ambient breakdown. Let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, so that's good right there. Okay, I can also go through and set these cue points on the fly. If you hold down the shift key and hit the corresponding number as it goes, you can actually add a cue point on the fly. So I just hit shift and 3, and bam, it set it up there on the fly. So I've got a couple cue points now in my song. So, if you're doing this with your record collection, I know a lot of people use Torq. They try to keep their cue points similar to each other. So if you have your number 1, maybe that's the beginning point where you were going to drop the needle in on the song. So you can easily go through, and no matter what song you load in, you know that, boom, you hit the number 1, it jumps to that cue point, and you're queued up and ready to go. Maybe you have the cue points like right before the key break where you would mix it in or whatnot. So now when I go through, I have the ability to go through and jump to different parts of my song. And I can actually go through and just by triggering the cue points, I can go through and, make some interesting things happen on my music. So okay, so you can actually get to a spot where you actually go through and you play a beat with this. So let me bring in a song that I actually went through and already made a bunch of cue points on. Now, the cue points, when they're set, you can see they show up here as a different color. So I still have the ability to set 2 more cue points for this track. This guy here's got 4. 1 of them is still open. So the left deck uses the typing keyboard keys 1 through 5. And on the right deck, it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 correspond to the cue points there. So I can actually go through and play out a beat with these cue points. So if I go through and I hit 6, so I have the 6 kind of set so that first cue point is set right on a kick drum, and I have the 7 right on a snare. So if I So basically what I'm doing is if I go to these different cue points, I have them lined up for different hits. So if you put a kick on one of them, a snare on another, maybe like some little ambient sound or some sort of breakdown fill sound for another one, you can actually go through and play those beats out using either your typing keyboard, or you can map those to pads on your controller. The Exponent is great because it's got all those cue points right there as buttons on the Exponent. So This is really great feature of the Exponent. You've just, bam, you've got those buttons right at your fingertips and you can start rocking out beats. It gives you the potential to do this incredible remixing on the fly of your tracks. It's a really great feature of Torq, and it's super easy to use. You just have to remember 1 through 5 for the left deck, 6 through 0 on the right deck. So to set a cue point again, you just go through to the part of the song where you want to set the cue point, get it lined up, you hit the set button right here, boom, and then you pick the cue point. We'll make this one a 4, and then whenever you hit that 4 or you hit the 4 on the typing keyboard, it actually goes through and it triggers that cue point from where you set it. Great feature. Highly recommend getting into it. Staying organized and having some consistency throughout your entire music collection is going to make your life a lot easier. So definitely recommend thinking about that and figuring out, okay, 1 is for the end of the intro, like the first verse. Maybe you have 2 or 3 set always to some part with the chorus. It's going to be different for everybody depending on how they do their DJ set and what kind of DJ you are. But utilizing the cue points and having some consistency with the way that you set them up really is going to make your life a lot easier.